Hey everybody, Jazzy here. Today I want to present a guide to dealing with vampire bat waves in Don't Starve Hamlet. As per usual, I should give the disclaimer that we are still in early access, and all of this information is subject to change in the full release. The vampire bat is a mob exclusive to the Hamlet DLC. They spawn in periodic waves around a player, much like hounds in Reign of Giants and crocodogs in Shipwrecked. When set to default in World Gen settings, these waves occur on average every 4 to 5 days, and during the apocalypse they occur every day. Bats are excellent sources of monster meat and pigskin, and it becomes immensely beneficial to harvest bats as often as possible if you are looking to build your own pig houses and shops. Now, fighting vampire bats is more or less straightforward, and their attack pattern is similar to basilisks. They will circle the player, eventually growl, and then move into attack. Fortunately, with larger waves, only a few bats will typically attack at a time. This means that even in larger numbers, taking them on with armor and a weapon is totally doable. That said, the number of bats in a wave ramp up alarmingly fast, and late game waves can easily see upwards of 15 to 20 bats at a time. Because of that, it becomes more important to prepare some form of defense against the ever-rising tide of floating monstrosities. So with that, let's review a few commonly used techniques for dealing with vampire bats. I will mention some of the pros and cons of each idea, and at the end I will give my personal opinion on the most effective method. The first and simplest method is the good old face tank with armor. Remember, in single player, armor protection stacks, meaning a combination log suit and football helm provides 95% protection. Not enough for you? How about a fancy helmet and tin suit combination for a whopping 99% protection? Brandish a dark sword and hold down attack button until your bats are no more. Now, this method is very straightforward. You can do this from anywhere in your world, no lost loot. The big downside is the cost in resources. The bats will eventually chip away at your armor, and the better armor is not cheap to craft. Also, you need healing and a weapon with sufficient durability. If you are going this route, try to focus your attacks on the bats that are attacking you, otherwise you'll just end up running in circles yourself. Now, this next method I've seen Demon Rebuilt use in his playthrough, and it seems to work very quickly and effectively, and that method is Elephant Cactus. Throw on your cactus armor and run through an array of 8 or 9 cactus. The area of effect attack will make short work of your flying rat monsters. One variation on this method involves using 2 fling-o-matics to continually throw snowballs at a withered cactus. Essentially the same strategy as a fire farm, just keep them on ice until you can dispatch them. And sorry Wormwood, this method is a little too chilly for you. Please don't try it. The big advantage to Elephant Cactus is that once set up, it requires no resources to maintain, just the occasional replanting of a cactus. No lost loot either. There are, however, 2 obstacles to using the spiky phallic vegetables. Firstly, guard pigs have a tendency to aggro on them, and their halberds will slice through the cactus like piggy justice through butter, and you will have to replant them constantly. The second obstacle is the obvious one. You have to build a Skyworthy, go to a shipwrecked world, search for the volcano, harvest the cactus, harvest the volcanic turf, find the parachute, craft another Skyworthy, and hop back over to Hamlet. If you plan to link a shipwrecked world anyway, then you might as well bring some cactus back home. But, even aside from all the work required, I am personally just more interested in finding solutions that are native to the new DLC, aren't you? Which brings me to method 3, guard towers. Now, this is the method I have been using in my playthroughs, and it works swimmingly. Set up 8 guard towers and run around them until the flapping and whining rodent sounds mingle joyfully with a chorus of halberds slicing through that flying monster meat. This method works quickly and you can easily collect the loot while the guards are busy doing your dirty work. Just pick it all up before they finish and realize their cannibalistic tendencies toward pigskin. 0 resources required after setup, and guard towers will not burn. The bat loot will, however, which brings me to the major disadvantage of this method. Pig guards will fight with torches during dusk and night, which means any dropped pigskin will burn to ash. This is no bueno for our pig city plans, but fortunately, place a shanty next to your pig guards. That way, if bats are incoming at night, you just hop into your house and wait it out till daylight. The bats will very courteously wait for you to exit the house before dropping down to murder you. But the guards will have switched back to their halberds, ready for some bat dispatch Game of Thrones style. If you are into a more worldly solution, bring your bats over to Snaptooth Flytraps. This method works especially well for Wormwood, who does not aggro the Snaptooths unless he is holding meat. That includes pigskin. Killing bats this way requires little prep, as the Snaptooths will self-propagate from the fallen meat and skins. The flytraps will not eat the drops, but the seedlings will. If you are going to maintain an array of flytraps, try to keep the seedlings thinned out to avoid overpopulation. I will say that out of all of these methods, the guard towers are still my go-to bat extermination solution. I have even set up a telolocator focus next to the tower so that I can easily shoot myself over as soon as my little friends start to float overhead. Once you acquire the executive hammer from the Royal Gallery, you can run around the cultivated biomes, hammering guard towers for all of the resources you need to build a barracks of your very own. A couple additional tips I should add with regards to bats. One interesting thing about bats is that once they set a spawn point, they will only chase the player for so far before turning around and flying back home. Use this to your advantage and just run away until they show you their tails, then just chase them back and pick them off one at a time. Now, this last bit has been mentioned a few times on Clay forums since the beta release, but there was discovered a correlation between the size of bat waves and the sleeping bats inside cave clefts. Essentially, killing these bats a couple days prior to a bat wave can effectively reduce the size of the bat wave significantly. I might do an in-depth look at how closely these numbers correlate, but based on my limited amount of testing, I can confirm that killing these bats in the caves will absolutely decrease the size of your waves. So if you want to be proactive in your bat prevention, be sure to revisit cave clefts often to clear out any potential infestations that could lead to above-ground calamity. That's it for now. Please share in the comments what other methods you've discovered for taking care of these little bastards on wings, and know that by liking this video and subscribing to my channel, you greatly increase your chances of seeing similar guides from me in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.